So, are you ready to explore how music can make a real difference?
Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're going deep, deep into music changing lives. MCL for short.
They're doing some amazing work.
Really inspiring stuff, yeah, with young people in California,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Moreno Valley and Redlands.
Right.
We've got a ton of material here, like their history, you know,
Yeah.
the programs they run.
And the science behind it all.
It is fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's not just about teaching kids to play an instrument.
Right.
It's much, much deeper than that.
Okay, so like, what do you mean by deeper? Deeper how?
Well, think about it this way. These are kids, what we call at-risk youth.
At-risk youth. Okay, I've heard that term before, but what does that actually mean?
I mean, it means they're facing some serious challenges in their lives. Poverty, exposure to violence.
Yeah.
Maybe they just don't have access to the same opportunities, positive role models,
That makes sense.
things like that. And these are all factors that, can make them more likely to get involved in gangs or drop out of school.
So how does MCL, like, tackle these challenges? How do they approach this?
Well, it all starts with the founder,
Okay.
Josiah Brony.
Josiah Brony.
His story, well, it's a powerful example of how music can change a life.
I'm ready to hear it. What's his story? What happened?
Well, before music, he was deep, deep in gang life.
Wow.
And we don't know all the details about that turning point moment, but what's clear, what we do know, is that music became his lifeline. It was a way to, channel all his energy, his emotions
Right.
into something good,
Yeah.
positive and constructive.
I can see how going through that himself would make him want to help others find a similar path,
Right.
to escape gangs and violence and all that.
Exactly.
But how did he turn that passion into an organization?
Well, he had a vision, and he acted on it. He founded MCL back in 1998.
Wow, 98. Okay.
And his goal was, it was clear, to use music as a catalyst for change.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about, learning notes and chords.
Yeah.
It was about empowering these kids,
Yeah.
giving them a sense of purpose, a place to belong.
That's amazing. So 1998, that's over 2 decades.
Right.
And they're thriving.
More than thriving.
Hundreds of kids every year.
Yeah, over 350 annually in Moreno Valley alone,
Wow.
and more than 400 in Redlands
That's incredible.
through their after-school programs.
So what kind of music are we talking about here? What are they learning?
It's pretty diverse, actually.
Yeah.
They don't limit themselves to one genre,
Mhm.
I think it's more about adapting the curriculum
Okay.
to the kids' interests and, and their cultural backgrounds.
So they tailor it to each individual.
It's all about meeting them where they are.
That's really cool. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, not at all.
It's about nurturing, like a genuine love for music.
Exactly. And it's not just music either.
Oh, okay.
It's paired with academic support,
Oh, wow.
mentorship,
That's great.
a holistic approach.
Makes sense. Because it's about, so much more than just keeping them busy after school.
Right.
It's about giving them the tools to succeed.
It's about the whole person,
Yeah.
the whole picture.
Exactly.
And that's where the mentorship comes in.
Okay, so tell me about that. How does the mentorship work? What do they do?
Well, they have these programs that go right into the heart of these underserved communities.
Okay.
Places that are often labeled as the projects.
Yeah.
And they're there to provide that support.
Mm.
And they use music and art to show these kids that there are alternatives to gang life.
Right.
Other ways to express themselves.
Yeah.
Other ways to build a future.
It's like they're showing them, hey, there are other choices,
Yeah.
You don't have to go down that path.
You have options.
You have potential.
And what's interesting is MCL isn't just, going on intuition here. There's actual research,
Okay.
a growing body of research. It backs up the impact music has on these young people.
I've always wondered about that. We've all heard the stories.
Yeah.
About how music can be, like, therapeutic, inspiring. But is there real science behind it? Is there something to that?
There is.
Right.
There really is. Studies show that music instruction, it can actually speed up brain development.
Wow. So learning an instrument can actually make you smarter.
It can. Especially in areas of the brain that are critical for language, speech,
Okay.
and reading skills.
So it's not just about, like, learning Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the piano. It's like rewiring your brain for success.
Exactly. It's like a workout for your brain.
It's a workout for your brain, yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps in other areas of life, too.
Right. It goes beyond academics.
Okay.
Music's been linked to better emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation, okay.
Think about it, how music makes you feel.
Right. Happy.
Sad.
stressed,
Energized.
Calm. Yeah.
So, learning to play an instrument, well, it can help kids understand those emotions.
Manage them.
Yeah, manage them
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
Imagine like a calming melody soothing anxiety.
Right.
Or like a really upbeat rhythm helping them channel frustration.
Exactly. Turn it into something positive.
I've also noticed how music can make you feel connected to others.
Yes.
Like when you're at a concert and everyone's singing along.
Yeah,
It's like this feeling of unity.
absolutely. And research suggests that making music together can boost empathy.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pro-social behavior.
So when you're playing music with others, you have to listen.
Collaborate.
Yeah.
Be sensitive to each other.
Right.
And that can turn into better social skills,
Yeah.
a stronger sense of community.
So we've got this incredible organization
Right.
founded by this guy who turned his own life around through music.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using these scientifically proven methods. It's like a perfect recipe for change.
It really is. And it doesn't stop there.
Okay, there's more.
Josiah's vision, it goes beyond music education.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He wants to build a sustainable future for these communities.
Okay, what does that mean? Like, how do you go beyond music to create that kind of change?
Well, one of MCL's key initiatives is their Community Gardens program.
Community gardens. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. What do gardens have to do with music?
Community gardens, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. What do gardens have to do with music?
Well, it might seem a little surprising at first,
Yeah.
but it's actually pretty clever.
Huh.
These gardens, they're about so much more than just growing food.
Right.
It's about self-sufficiency,
Mm.
teaching these kids, these families,
Yeah.
how to, take care of themselves. Right, provide for themselves.
Exactly. And it also promotes healthy eating.
Of course, yeah.
And it's about community, too.
Right.
A sense of ownership.
Yeah, a sense of pride.
Pride in their community.
So it's like they're saying, look, we're not just going to give you a handout. We're going to teach you how to grow your own food.
Exactly. Empowerment. And it also creates this really amazing connection between the music programs and the gardens.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, imagine they could use the produce from the gardens to help fund the music programs.
Oh, wow. That's smart.
Or even have concerts in the gardens.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Right. It all comes back to that idea of empowering these communities.
Building them up from the ground up.
Exactly.
Now that you mention it, I did read somewhere that MCL's programs have actually led to a decrease in gang violence in the communities they serve.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
It is. It speaks to that holistic approach.
Yeah.
They're not just putting a Band-Aid on the problem.
Right.
They're getting to the root of it.
They're trying to create lasting change.
Exactly.
So we've talked about Josiah's vision, the impact of the program.
The science.
Yeah, the science behind it all.
Right.
But, is everybody on board with this? Are there any critics of MCL's approach?
Well, there are always going to be people who, question new approaches.
Right.
Some might say that focusing on music and the arts takes away from other more essential needs.
Like what?
Things like housing or healthcare.
Yeah, that's a valid point. How does MCL respond to those concerns?
They acknowledge that those are very real issues, but they also believe that a holistic approach is key.
Okay.
Addressing emotional and social needs
Right.
and creative needs
Yeah.
of these young people, that's just as important
As their physical needs.
as their basic needs.
Yeah.
Because it can help them advocate for themselves,
That-
for their communities.
So it's not an either-or situation.
No, it's about seeing the big picture.
Everything's connected.
Exactly. And, it's important to point out, MCL has the results to back it up.
Oh, okay. Like what?
They have data that shows, their programs are working.
Okay.
Kids are doing better in school. Their self-esteem is higher.
That's great.
They're engaging in less risky behavior.
Those are some pretty positive outcomes.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with those results.
So they've really figured something out.
Yeah, it's a model that other organizations can learn from.
Now, I'm curious about the team behind all of this.
Oh.
Who are the people making this happen?
Well, it's a pretty diverse group.
Okay.
You have experienced teachers, social workers,
Right.
community activists,
Wow, that's quite a mix.
even volunteers.
Oh, wow.
People bringing all sorts of different skills.
Yeah, that's great.
Josiah, He's created this really collaborative environment where everybody feels valued.
Sounds like an inspiring place to work.
Yeah, I bet the energy is amazing.
I'm sure it's contagious.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about Josiah's vision, the impact, the science, the team.
Right.
But what about the day-to-day stuff? What are some of the challenges they face running an organization like this?
Well, I mean, like any nonprofit,
Yeah.
funding is always a concern.
Right. Yeah.
Relying on grants and donations,
Yeah.
it can be unpredictable.
It makes it hard to plan.
Yeah. Long-term planning can be tricky.
Yeah, and securing funding for the arts it's tough.
Yeah. It's not always easy.
How do they manage? How do they get the money they need?
They've had to get creative,
Okay.
fundraising events, concerts,
Uh-huh.
showcasing the kids' talent,
Oh, that's cool.
building relationships with donors, foundations,
Yeah.
People who believe in their mission.
It sounds like they're always hustling.
They are.
But it must feel good,
Yeah.
to see that their hard work is paying off.
It does. It's rewarding.
I mean, they're making a real difference.
Yeah, that's what keeps them going.
That sense of purpose.
Right. They're not just punching a clock.
It's bigger than that.
This is their life's work.
Speaking of making a difference, I think it's time we talk about how our listeners can get involved.
Absolutely.
Because MCL needs support.
They do.
They rely on the community.
And there are so many ways to help.
Okay, so let's get specific. What can our listeners do to support MCL? Okay, so let's get specific. What can our listeners do to support MCL?
Well, I mean, volunteering is always a great place to start.
Okay, yeah. Volunteer.
MCL, they're always looking for people, dedicated people, to, help out with their programs.
Okay, so, what kind of things could people do?
Oh, all sorts of things.
Okay.
You could mentor a young person, teach music,
Right.
teach art, or even help out in the gardens.
Oh, yeah, the community gardens. That's a great idea.
That's a really rewarding experience.
I bet. I bet it is. But, not everybody has the time to volunteer.
Right.
So are there other ways to help?
Of course. Donating, it always makes a difference.
Okay, donation.
Even a small amount can go a long way.
Yeah.
It all adds up.
Right.
Every dollar, it goes directly to supporting these programs.
Okay.
Buying instruments, art supplies,
Right.
funding transportation for the kids, helping them expand.
So even if you can't give a lot, every little bit counts.
Every bit helps. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got volunteering, we've got donations.
Yeah.
What else? What if, somebody can't do either of those things?
Well, they can spread the word.
Okay, yeah, tell their friends.
Tell their family.
Share on social media.
Social media is huge.
It is.
Sharing MCL's story.
Yeah.
It can make a real difference.
You never know who might be inspired.
Yeah. Exactly. You could inspire somebody to get involved, inspire somebody to donate.
Exactly. So how can our listeners connect with MCL online?
Well, they're on Instagram.
Okay.
And Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Just search at Music Changing Lives.
At Music Changing Lives. Easy enough.
It's a great way to, stay in the loop.
Okay.
See what they're up to.
And what about their website?
MusicChangingLives.org.
MusicChangingLives.org. Got it.
Yeah, it's full of information
Okay, cool.
about their mission.
Mm-hmm.
You can even read testimonials from the kids.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Hear their stories.
So it's amazing to see how this one man's journey,
Right.
this personal transformation has grown into this whole movement.
A movement. Yeah.
And it's impacting entire communities.
It's a testament to the power of one person to make a difference.
One person with a vision.
With a passion.
And the drive to make it happen.
But it also shows that we can all be a part of it.
Yeah, we can all contribute.
When we work together,
We can amplify that impact.
It's like a ripple effect.
Spreading outward.
Creating positive change.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive into music changing lives.
I've got to say, it's been pretty inspiring.
It has. What stood out to you the most?
Honestly, I think Josiah's story.
Yeah.
And seeing how much of an impact MCL is actually having.
It's one thing to talk about it, but to see it in action.
Yeah, it's really something.
It's really inspiring. What about you? Anything else that stood out?
The gardens. That whole initiative, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really shows that they're thinking about the long term.
They get it, They understand the needs of these communities.
And they're not just throwing money at the problem.
Right.
They're creating solutions.
And the science. Don't forget the science.
Oh, yeah. The science.
It's proof.
Proof that music matters.
Music is powerful.
Absolutely. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It really has. And to our listeners, we encourage you, keep exploring these possibilities.
Think about it. How can you use music to make a difference
In your own community.
in your own life?
That's it for today.
Thanks for listening.